was 9 years old, I can vividly remember my mom inviting me to pray. She gave me the opportunity to invite Christ into my life that night. And I think part of his power is the very fact that I can remember that so clearly. I remember feeling that kind of catch-22 where I deeply loved being with different kinds of people. But at the same time, it was tinged or colored with a kind of sadness because I had no clue what to make of those people's destiny. And that killed me. What had happened as a result of that is that I deeply started to question what I believed. My search deepened. My search for beauty, my search for truth, my search for God, my search for integration, all was now just on the fast track. I had gotten myself to become maybe as close as you can get to becoming a full monk. I did my best to play that role within the ashram atmosphere. You are up here and you teach and disseminate the knowledge that they'll never be able to get because they're a householder who has family and children and problems. You have surrendered all of that, and that was a bittersweet moment for me because I was doing what I thought was right, which was full commitment in the pursuit of God. But at the same time, everything about relationship was missing. Everything about the way that God had gifted me in these various modes of expression was cast away. And I would say that's the farthest I've felt from who he created me to be. I started to find myself at odds with the tradition, that the tradition wouldn't resonate with my heart, wouldn't resonate with the spirit that God created, the spirit who was playful, the spirit who likes to be silly for no reason, and to go out with a friend just to catch up. Those dimensions of my life were deeply missing. I wanted to know that God was more than just a presence watching, but that God was drawn down with me in this life. To describe what I was aching for is Jesus. I needed him in the flesh among us to feel the pain of humanness, to feel that sting. Maybe without even consciously doing it, I looked to my Swami as a Jesus-like figure. And what I found was, as amazing as his capacity is to teach, and amazing in the ways that he did try to care for me and serve me, he's still human. As I began to kind of beg or put all of my eggs in the basket of my teacher and that tradition, I kept finding flaws. So I eventually had to make a really hard decision and leave. This time I knew it was a renunciation of a different order. It wasn't a running away anymore, and it wasn't one of exclusion, but it was one of, honestly, liberation. Liberation in the sense that I am finally free to grow into the fullness of who God created me to be, and to finally restore the relationships on every level. Relationship with my friends, my family, and my maker. I remember when I was welcomed back, and it may have been the first week, a Sunday rolls around. And I was thinking in my mind, I know where my parents are gonna go. They're gonna go to church. They'll be at Pathway for sure. And I remembered something convicted me, like, I think I need to be there. And I remember when I said, yeah, I'll go with you, them looking at me like, what? Really? Are you really gonna go to church? Because we don't need you to, because we just love you. That was another moment that Christ's love shone so brightly, was I didn't need to be anything anymore. I walked in those doors and felt warmly welcomed. I remember the overall feeling I got was love. And that love continued to work on me, and it will work on me to my last breath. Now begins the joy of Jesus Christ, which is all things restored. Everything comes back together in a way that's far beyond what I could ever do on my own. It almost felt like this turn of season for me was a letting go of my effort to achieve God and find God in my spiritual pursuit, and more allowing Him to meet me. God came down to us, restored that relationship, and there's nothing I could possibly do on my part to earn that, nor is there anything I could do to ever achieve that it's freely given, and I literally just need to open myself to that. And that's like my new definition of faith, is having that trustful surrender to something beyond my understanding.